Hello, 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 hello. I got Taffy over here. She's making me rub her butt. No, I'm not. I'm rubbing behind her head. Her favorite spot in the back of her neck. She loves that. Well, she loves her belly to be rubbed. Yeah, there's a lot of different spots. Or under the chin. Oh my God. What cat doesn't love under their chin scratched? Pisces. I know you know about that with the kitty cats. Absolutely. Yeah. They like the jazzy fingers, right? Yeah. How the hell are you doing, Pisces? We got your July 2023. I saved the very best for the last. We got good news. Good news if you're into having some ease set up in terms of, well, we'll get to it in a minute. We're going to do this chronologically. So we're going to start off with the beginning of July, and then we'll get to the middle of the month where we get some exciting things happening. So, first off, Pisces, I'm going to cover your sign just a little bit here. I've heard people tell me that they don't relate, right? Because this is typically a rising sign video. So if you're watching and you don't know, hold on a minute, I got an alert on and I just realized I have to turn that off. If you don't know what your rising or your ascendant is, comment to me below and I can help you to figure that out. That's a passion, one of the passions of this channel. Your birth digits will help me to figure that out for you. Okay. And we can get you paired up with the most accurate for you information. Okay. Now, for those of you who know and you're watching because you're a Pisces rising, right? Some say, I don't relate to my rising sign at all. And I get that because our moon sign is a big deal and our sun sign is a big deal. And those we feel and we express them outwardly. The rising sign is kind of like when somebody is looking at you. So it's like they see it. You may not see it, but they see it. Right? Remember the cover of the book. Remember the movie cover when we used to go back in the day to the video store and get a movie and it was like, oh shit, the one I want isn't here. So we're like, damn, what should we get? I don't know, so you go and you're like, oh, well, this looks good based on the cover, the picture on the cover and a couple of words on the back. We're like, well, this looks good, but you don't really know what it really is. You don't really know if it's good. It just looks good. Or the ones that you pass up because you're like, oh, hell no, that looks like garbage, right? I'm not spending my $4 or $5. Remember back in the day how much it was? And movies are a big thing. I'm saying movies. I'm sorry. I had to. Yeah. Anyway, when you have long hair, it tends to kind of, I don't know, it dips into all sorts of shit and you don't realize it until you're just like running your fingers through it and like you're caught and you're like, oh my God, what happened? Anyway. So movies, that's a whole Pisces thing. It's Pisces totally is all about movies. Pisces likes water. Do you like water? Do you feel like you have that urge where it's important to go and swim? Or maybe you like to, it's not so much about taking a shower, but there's something about the power of water and how it rejuvenates you, right? How it's going to feel. You just feel fresh. You feel whole. You feel complete, right? Water energy. Pisces is really sensitive. It's very sensitive and it rules the feet. Your feet. So do you have sensitive feet? Are there issues with your feet? Like when you were a kid, maybe, or maybe you have to have a certain shoe a special way or just something with your feet where you're like, I mean, there's a lot of different feet issues. We're not going to go into the details here, but something with the feet, Pisces, something with the feet. I had Pisces arising who told me that they have beautiful feet. And they're like, you know what? I think I have an idea. Like people actually like looking at feet or whatever. I don't know anything about all that, but because I definitely don't have beautiful feet. I do have an issue with feet for sure because I have multiple signs. In my chart, I have multiple signs in the 12th house. And so, matter of fact, I've got a foot that's, yeah, not so great, right? And that's a Pisces thing. The feet. And in 12th house, high levels of sensitivity. So other people may be able to handle certain things, whereas the Pisces energy is like, oh damn, like I know that I can't handle that. That's too much. Easily overwhelmed energetically. Pisces energy. Very sensitive. Kumbaya, prayer, meditation, sound. Oh my gosh, have you noticed sensitivities to sound? Absolutely. Big time. It's sound and music, musicians, poetry, theater, like that's all Pisces. It can be very dreamy. It can be sci-fi, right? In Hollywood, I mentioned that earlier. Politicians, even people who can talk and pretend or put on a performance because they can be persuasive. Think of actors and actresses. What's their job? To be on the screen, and they could be so different than the character that they play. But if they do it well, if they can persuade you, you believe that that's who they really are because they know how to persuade. They know how to put on a really good performance. Now, because it would be your ascendant, it's like you're someone who looks like that. It doesn't mean you can actually do those things. It's when people look at you, they're like, wow, that person, they look kind of Hollywood, right? They kind of look like dreamy and fantasy. They look like, are they royalty? There's something special looking about them, even, right? And that is Pisces energy. It truly is. So I went through all of that. I went through all of that to talk about sensitivities and unity and understanding and all these all the Piscean stuff because we have an ending and a closure. But we have to remember that Saturn is in the sign of Pisces right now. So for many of you, if you have that Pisces energy on your ascendant in your first house, this is another reason why you would want your chart to figure out, okay, is this in my first house? Because your first house is your physical body. It is your appearance, but it can also be your health. If Saturn's going through there, Saturn can represent and bring restrictions, possibly with the feet. Sometimes people have accidents and they have to have like a cast or a brace or a boot or something, and it creates like something happens and there's a restriction because Saturn is the bones of the body. You see? So if you have something similar that's occurred recently, like we just had a lady in the Starry Night Live who back a couple of weeks back on the full moon of Sagittarius, on that day, she broke a bone in her foot. In her foot. Guess what? She's got Neptune right on her ascendant. Neptune on her ascendant. And yes, Saturn is in Pisces. And Neptune rules Pisces. You see the connections? Plus, it was a full moon, so it represented restrictions. And that full moon and the time of it, the moon up in the sky with the full moon was squaring Saturn. Anyway, not to go into all that, but it's to show you the connections of why, for some folks, paying attention to the timing and the cycles on their chart, it gives them understanding. It may not be about, oh, I got to figure out when to do this and when to do that, although some of us do those things. But it can just give you layers of understanding. Okay. Now we have this full moon at the very beginning. It's on the 3rd of July, and the full moon energy brings about a closure and a completion. A closure and a completion. Now it's about your ambitions. It's your goals. It's your ambitions. It's something that you feel is your duty. It's a duty energy. You know, it's like you kind of feel like you're the authority figure almost, or it's even connected to a long-term, tangible, material, like financial security. Think about that. What do people do? They work. They want it. They're what's their dream? I want to have a house and it's got to be such and such size and it's got to have X amount of bathrooms and I want to have however many cars and I want to be able to go on vacations and I want like half a dozen kids or just 2 kids, whatever, right? Whatever that picture looks like for you, that's part of your long-term goals. you see. And so Capricorn energy, because we're having a full moon in Capricorn at 11 degrees. Do you have anything there? Let me know. If you don't know, comment below. Typically for you, Pisces, this has to do with your group energy, friends, your social circles. There's something you're kind of like, I'm done. It's a closure. 11 degrees of Capricorn, right? So this would have been groups and friends, and there was something very structured about this energy. So for some folks, these are people where they get together because they have these goals and ambitions towards humanity, things that help humanity progress. And so it's I know of people who have this placement, like, and they teach within institutions, right? People like just big institutions. Think about that. And so that could be business, but it can be like, other than private and big corporations, this can be working for the government. This can be institutions that teach, like universities and colleges. Think of that mixture, the mixture of Capricorn, tangible, long-term goals, right? Things that have been around for a long time, the tried, the true, the tested. Oh, Tabby was asleep. Yes. I took my hand off to get up and demonstrate. Now, these can be friends, right? Friends who have similar ambitions and goals as you do. Do you belong to groups? This can be online groups as well. And if there's something that you have in your chart near those degrees, there's something there you're completing. All right. So now let's get to the middle of the month. This is the time where there's a lot of things happening. It's very cardinal. This whole month of July is supercharged. It's all lunar stuff, big time. Big time. So we know with the lunar stuff, things change. They just do. Nodes are moving. Nodes are moving. We have the North Node going into Aries on the 17th of July. We have the South Node going into Libra on the 17th of July. On the 17th of July, we have a new moon, a new beginning, new moon in Cancer energy. So you get it? Beginning of the month was Capricorn, full moon. By the middle of the month, there's a new moon in Cancer, while on that same day, the moon's nodes change and they move into Aries and Libra energy. So you're right. I just described a big, great cross. But the beginning of the month won't be part of it. But will the middle of the month be part of it? It's a very good possibility. You got to see what you got in your chart. The moon's nodes will be like at 29 degrees of Aries, 29 degrees of Libra. So if you have anything in Capricorn at 29, we know we're going to have Pluto there, aren't we? Pluto sits at 29 for a minute, right? But then what about your Cancer energy? Do you have anything at 29? If you don't know and you feel like there might be something there, just comment to me. I can take a look at your chart and I can just give you a quick answer and be like, no worries, chill out. It's all good, right? Typically, this is change. This is change. Cardinal, everything. It's a very cardinal month. Lots of change. But hold up. There's good news. There's good news because Aries energy is in your second house, typically. And that's a house of fire, a house of starting something. This is also the house of money and income. Like, are you the kind of person where you're always kind of like starting something that could make you money? You have like these little extra side gigs that you're interested in, that you're like, oh yeah, I want to do this. And somehow it might fizzle out at times. This is a time, the next 18 months, by the way, this is a time where you have the cooperation from other areas of your chart. You have the cooperation. Before I get into that, because it will bring ease, it will be like things just happen and you don't have to do a whole lot. So if you've been working towards something that would kind of like bring you a little side gig money, right? Something where you're like, God, when I retire, I would love to do this, right? Hold that thought. We're going to get there. I want to talk about the new moon, okay? Because it's important. The new moon energy, I mentioned it. It's on the 17th. It's in Cancer. It's at 28 degrees in the sign of, 25 degrees in the sign of Cancer. 25 degrees. It's a new beginning, and it is in your house of creativity. You see, your fifth house is going to be lit. There's a new moon there, 25 degrees. Do you have anything in Cancer at 25? Again, you just comment and let me know if you need help to figure that out, and I can take a look for you. But what will it mean, G? Cancer energy is family and home. It is mom. It is literally my house, like the sticks and the bricks where I live, but it's being really creative in the home. These are people who can go into a house and like, oh yeah, we should do this and move this around. Like, these are really creative people in the home. You may use your energy in a different way. You may create homes right here in your head. This may have to do with ancestry. Think about your history. Think about way back in the day, some of the things your ancestors went through and lived through. There might be something you're doing, because I know I have a friend, very creative, and he creates like online games and stuff. Like, I don't know if I should call them video games because I've never seen it, but what he does is he creates storylines, and it's kind of, I don't know if it's a Dungeons and Dragon type thing, but I think it's kind of along those lines. So you think about how those storylines go, right? And how these got these characters, and they've got like these certain weapons, but it's all kind of based on the past. It's based on the past, typically. And so it's using that energy in a really creative way. So it's also like children and creativity and fun and joy, laughter, a way to have a good time, and it's entertaining. A new moon, a new beginning. 8 hours before the new moon. The new moon begins at 1:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time. That's where I'm located. Adjust for where you live. The 8 hours before are the hours of power. It is the magic time to set your intentions down and to speak it into the universe, write it, whatever you do, to focus, to meditate, to pray, whatever works for you, and say, this is what I'm doing. This is what I want to bring forth. This is what I want to create. For some of you, this can absolutely have to do with, I literally want to have babies. I want to have children. It's the sign of Cancer, feminine energy in the fifth house. Strong mother and nurturing energy here. Home, family, and ancestry. All right. Now let's go back to the Aries energy, the big, grand fire trine that you have coming. Big, grand fire trine. This is sweet. It lights up in your chart, your second house of moolah, of income, of ching, of bring on the coins. It sets that up along with your sixth house of your daily routines, domestic, but it can be work projects, and your midheaven, which is your 10th house of career. Do you see? So in the triangle, at the top, the midheaven, your goals, your ambitions, your career. Second house over here, my income, how I receive. And the last one, sixth house, daily routines, projects, tasks, to-do lists. Could have to do with health, could be with pets involved, but it's very fiery. And these three, your fire houses, are working in tandem for the next 18 months. 18 months of starting, of get up and go, of can do, of leading, of being the first one out of the gate, being very fast, maybe even being a little impatient, but feeling like I'm not moving fast enough. I have to hurry up and get this done. And then lining up with the courage to do this, the courage, and the sense of adventure, the sense of, but I'm an authority. And when I speak, people listen, and the ability to be like the king of the jungle, where I'm colorful where I can be funny and I can use my humor to attract and draw people in who will work with me and follow and bring them into the fold and enhance what they can bring, their qualities, their traits, their characteristics. And then the midheaven, all about the confidence, the wisdom, the confidence, the ability to set an example, the ability to set new goals, the ability to have the focus to keep your eye on the target. This is really powerful, Pisces. I love this because Pisces energy by nature is extremely creative energy. And we've got a new moon and a creative placement. And we've got the fiery Aries energy lining up in such a way where it is going to bring ease to something that you truly desire. It will bring ease to something in which will enable you to very possibly make an income off this thing or to benefit in some way where you are receiving 18 months of your life. Use it well, use it wisely, and remember, with great power is great responsibility. I will see you, Pisces, in your next video. Bye-bye. Below the video, I'll have all the degrees for those of you who like to pay attention to the degrees in your chart. Again, if you don't know and you want to know, just comment below.